This is a DeHaviland Mosquito. Now, there is an awful lot to say about this aircraft. It had an incredible inception, it had an incredible story. It nearly suffered the same fate as the TSR-2 by having bureaucracy try and kill it at birth, but it still made it, and it ended up being one of the most successful aircraft of the Second World War, especially for the British and the Canadians, I believe, who flew it. And a lot of it was down to the design features that were almost the things that scuttled it. For one thing, it's almost entirely made out of wood, which is quite an unusual choice on an aircraft, especially a Second World War aircraft. It went against the grain at the time. You don't make aircraft from wood. But wood was a very available material. It meant that you could use all those people like cabinet fitters and craftsmen who were used to working with wood. They could now be utilised in the war effort to create weapons of war and aircraft like this. But there were other benefits. As you can see, it's painted black on the underside. And I don't think this is genuinely a night fighter version, because normally on the exhausts on the engines, in fact, I'll move it around so you can see better. On the side here, you can see the exhausts coming out of the Merlin engines. That's pretty much coming straight out of the cylinders. There's no silencers and baffles and stuff. And that's all well and good, because, you know, big powerful engines make it fly fast. This is one incredibly fast aircraft. But lots of fire and light. And if you're flying around at night, that's a problem, because they can see you coming from a mile away. So the night fighters quite often had this cowling that sat across the top of here that kind of hid all of those flashes and made it less obvious. And all of them had huge singe marks on because the exhaust got so hot, they just heat them up and the paint would burn off. But they basically made it harder to see at night. So that was one thing about it. But the other thing was, the Germans were kind of dabbling in radar. They stole our idea, basically. But they were dabbling in radar, and one of the things that this kind of did to them that they didn't expect was, by being made of wood, it didn't reflect a lot of radar signal, so it was actually quite hard to see on radar. They'd quite often know that they were in the neighbourhood, but they wouldn't know exactly where they were. So this technically is one of the first intentionally stealth aircraft. So just to finish up, I'll give you a little personal story. My grandfather-in-law used to fly these. Well, he didn't fly them, he used to fly in them, because he joined the Air Force, and when he went to join the Air Force, they found out he was colourblind, and he went to be a gunner, and they said, well, you can't be a gunner if you're colourblind. So they told him he couldn't join. So he left, and then he came back again and said, I want to be aircrew. And they said, how do you feel about navigation? He went, yeah, great. But then managed to hide the fact that he was colourblind, because he knew that would get him bounced out. And he ended up doing the whole war flying as a navigator at night, being colourblind. And the thing was, because he was colourblind, it didn't really matter at night, because you're pretty much seeing in black and white in low light conditions. So he ended up navigating these, flying out of Scotland every day, going to the war, coming back, and then having tea and scones in Scotland. So incredible.